Hello and welcome to episode 93 of the Pixel Street Podcast, where each and every week we get together and talk about one of the things we love most, video games. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Joel Campos, and today I am joined by the man who has already bought the pop figure for the new Overwatch character, John Hansen.
I mean, I will when it comes out because I've got all of them, so I've got to.
You literally have all of them?
Well, okay, I am missing one. I just need the newer Doomfist and his leopard skin, but otherwise, yeah, I have all of the Overwatch pop figures.
That's insane. How many are there?
A lot.
like if you had to guess, like 30?
Maybe not 30. I don't know, between 20 and 30 probably, yeah.
Wow. All right, also we are joined by not a cop, Connor Cop.
That's me. That's absolutely me. And I can't arrest you. Except for a citizen's arrest. I can absolutely do that.
Yeah, speaking of citizen's arrest, over the weekend I was leaving my apartment and me and my girlfriend got in the car. I walked past this strange-looking gentleman. And living in downtown Chicago, you see strange-looking gentlemen from time to time. And, like, I couldn't help but notice, like, he was, like, kind of jogging. So I was like, oh, this guy's on a jog. And then I look, I'm like, wait a second, this dude's wearing jeans. That's weird. But, I mean, I guess people can jog in jeans. That's fine. And then I noticed out of the corner of my eye, this guy had handcuffs, like, on his hip. And I was like, oh, okay, this construction worker's on a jog and has handcuffs. And I didn't even... I didn't...
How did you put that together?
No, I didn't think twice. I did not think twice about these handcuffs. And we get in the car, and my girlfriend's like, did you see that guy's handcuffs? And I was just like, yeah, I did. But you know what? It didn't even strike me as weird until you just said something. Like, this motherfucker just had handcuffs, and he was, like, on a jog. I don't know.
You guys must have some weird shit happening in Chicago if that's normal to you.
Yeah, I didn't think twice. I went on along with my day just fine. But that's not what we're here to talk about this week. This week we're going to be talking about all of the Xbox Series X specs that came out on Monday. Shadow dropped them, and the PlayStation 5 specs that came out today with that video.
They didn't shadow drop them. They announced that they were coming.
I don't think so. Did they?
Yeah, they did last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, they
Oh,
said a while ago that it was coming.
I did not know that. I just woke up and the specs were there, so.
Oh, okay.
Did they give like a firm date?
Yeah.
Oh,
They
I
said
had
March
no
16th
idea.
and everything, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Maybe PlayStation should have shadow dropped their thing, because that sucked. But before we get to that, you can find the Pixel Street Podcast on most podcast platforms on Fridays, as well as on YouTube, where I put together kind of a video of the stuff we talk about as we talk about it. You can now watch the show directly on our Facebook group by searching for Pixel Street Podcast on Facebook. We enjoy having new people follow our content, so we decided that we're going to do another giveaway. Probably when we get closer to 100 followers or episode 100, who knows. We will see. We're getting awfully close, 7 episodes away from episode 100, so be sure to follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street Pod to see when that is coming, because that's usually where we do our giveaways. With that being said, let's get into the upcoming releases.
Nothing.
Oh, yeah? Not even Doom or Animal Crossing?
Nothing. Nah, I'm joking. Yeah, we got Doom and Animal Crossing, which are going to be the big ones. These are the first two, I would say, like really big games of 2020 to come out, and we are super excited for them. Some of us choose the better game over the lesser one.
Animal Crossing
Doom
is the better
over
one.
Animal
Hands
Crossing.
down, that's it.
But yeah, no, super excited for those games. Hopefully we won't see too many delays here with virus and everything, but yeah, this is definitely the first like exciting week of the year, I would say.
You gotta wonder how much better these games are going to sell due to the fact that everybody's looking for something to do.
Yeah, that was one thing I've been wondering as well. Not even so much like just like physical, just like digital. Like how much more will that uptick now?
That's
even
true.
more, because it was already a majority of people already buy digital over physical, so I wonder how much more that goes up now.
And didn't GameStop just cancel a bunch of like midnight releases for this stuff?
Just Doom and Animal Crossing, they just canceled the midnight releases. You can still go in on Friday and grab them.
Yeah, but I have to imagine that hurts somewhat.
No, because they've already got their money.
You can't cancel a pre-order?
Oh, you can, but if you put money on it and already bought it, you're probably just going to pick it up on Friday.
Or you won't.
Or you won't. Who knows?
People are crazy. Also, you got Bleeding Edge coming out next week.
That game's hard.
I never played it.
It's okay. It's not really a game for me, I would say.
Yeah, it's some like really in-depth technical MOBA bullshit. And I just don't have the patience to learn another one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a friend named Ethan that I think would absolutely love the game, and I'm predicting that he's going to put a bunch of time into it. But me personally, after playing 2 betas of it, I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's just... I love the characters, and I love the colorful world and everything. I love that stuff, but just gameplay-wise, it's okay.
And that's pretty much all that's coming out. And then if you look into the following weeks, you got Persona 5 Royal. We
should also mention the day before Bleeding Edge is Half-Life Alyx.
I guess. Very niche market for that game, I guess. In terms of who can actually play it the way it's intended to be played.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I would say that is probably the first, like, very exciting VR game coming out. So
yeah, it's just the downside to that though is like, because the way it's intended to be played is with that new whatever HTC Vive, is it? Or
you can play it on
it's on multiple platforms, but Steam has their own VR unit now.
And that's the one with the hand tracking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's kind of intended to be played there.
I think the Oculus Quest has hand tracking now too.
Does it? I don't know.
Yeah, one of them, it's either the Oculus Quest or the latest Vive. One of them have hand tracking now. So
I think it is the Quest, and I remember reading something saying that it just isn't there yet for the Quest. Like they haven't fully.
It's kind of VR as a whole, to be honest. Like it's just not there.
No, it's not.
Well, there's that. If you want to buy a $2,000 VR headset,
plus a PC to run it.
Yeah, plus a probably $1,500+ PC to run it. You can definitely look into that. And I know that those headsets I was seeing on Twitter, like you can't find them right now, just because everybody's been buying them in the past months leading up to this game coming out.
Oh yeah, you can never find any VR headsets.
I want to say Steam's headset hardware that they've got out there. I think it's Index. I think it's the Valve Index.
Yeah, there you go.
I think last I looked, it was on like an 8-week back order for orders, which is absurd. So crazy stuff. I'm
pulling it up now. It looks like the whole VR kit is $1,000.
Jeez.
For the Valve Index VR kit.
That's too much money.
That is too much money. Yeah, I think that goes under that category.
I'm not even dropping $200 on a PSVR.
True. PSVR for $200 is worth it. But like you'll never find me spending like more than $600 on like an accessory to a console or PC.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just absurd. But we're going to get into some console accessories in a little bit here when we get to the news. But for now, let's get into what we've been playing. John, start us off.
So, I've been talking up Ori and the Will of the Wisp lately, and I've been playing it. I haven't beaten it yet. I haven't actually gotten to play it as much as I've wanted to in the past week. But man, this game is exactly what I wanted it to be. It's beautiful. Such an amazing soundtrack again. Those escape sequences are back, and they are just high octane, big time adrenaline rush kind of things. Like, I love them. The gameplay is improved. Ori can actually fight back now, which makes the game so much more fun. This is just one of those examples of like a perfect sequel where it doesn't have to change up the core elements of the game that came before it, but it adds on and just makes those things better. And man, am I in love with it so far.
How many hours have you played so far?
Probably about 2. Like I said, I haven't played it a ton yet. And it's probably going to be a shorter game, but it is longer than the first one. I've been hearing people say it takes about 10 hours or so to beat. So yeah, hopefully in the next... Well, actually, I'm hoping before Doom comes out that I actually beat it. But yeah, we'll see. I have a lot more free time at home now.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this coronavirus has everybody pretty much homebound, right?
Essentially, yeah.
I left yesterday to go to physical therapy, and that was it.
Yeah, I went grocery shopping 2 days ago, and I haven't really left my apartment except for taking my dogs out since then.
Yep, well, moving on. Connor, what have you been playing?
So I'm still hitting that Warzone grind. Playing some more of that Call of Duty Battle Royale goodness. I don't know if you guys have played any more matches of it, but I'm still really enjoying it. I think it's got a lot of cool stuff going on with it. I tried Plunder, which is their other mode they've got going on today for the first time. That's really interesting. So the premise is, it's on the same Battle Royale map. It's still 150 players, but there's no zone. There's no gas. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't constrict everybody down or anything like that, and you just respawn. You don't have to go to the gulag and do all that stuff. You don't have to buy your teammates back. I think after you die, it's much closer to like a traditional Call of Duty mode, which has you respawning every like 20 to 30 seconds or so after death, and then you just drop down in a random part of the map. The objective of it is that scattered throughout the map, just like in the Battle Royale mode, there's cash everywhere, and you're trying to be the first team to get to $1 million in cash. And you can either carry that cash on you, or there's like helipad zones where you can call in some helicopters. You can get little equipment pieces that are like emergency balloons that you can attach your cash to and send it up that way. And that makes your cash safe, and you've banked that, but you still have to rush to get that $1 million. And the first team there wins. And you've got tons of ways to do it. You can kill other people, take their money, complete contracts and bounties, go after, high loot areas, different stuff like that. So it's got some cool stuff going on. I don't know that I love it, to be honest. I think that it just feels like a really big Call of Duty match. They've got their ground war mode already, and this just feels like that on a bigger scale, but without any of the fun, to be honest with you. So don't know I'd recommend that. Probably won't play too much more of that, but yeah, Warzone's still good. Servers have been a little weird lately. I don't know if that's just a symptom of literally everybody's home right now playing games, but yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I also tried out Plunder, and I thought it was fine. I prefer the Battle Royale mode personally.
I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's fine. It's not bad. I wouldn't say that it's a horrible mode, but like when you stack it up to the Battle Royale version that they've got going on, there's just so much more fun to be had there rather than Plunder. So
yeah, I haven't played too much Warzone just because every time I never have a full squad to play with. It's usually just me, one other person, and then a random. And there's one night when we did have 3 of us, and we only played like 2 matches, and then somebody had to go. So it's just really hard to get into by yourself.
I don't know how recent it is, but when I logged in today, they have a solos mode now.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday they added it.
Yeah, they added it in yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't played any of that, but I'd be interested to see how that plays and if there's any ability to kind of respawn. Obviously, you have like the self-revive kits and stuff like that, but yeah, interesting. I might have to pop into there.
Yep. Moving on, the next game, the only game really that I've played that's new for me is MLB The Show 20. John's been playing it as well. I see here. I picked up the MVP edition last week. I got a pretty good deal on it, so Yeah, I've just been enjoying it. It's more MLB. They've added a bunch of new stuff to the Diamond Dynasty. In these what are they called? Showdowns. So essentially, you pick a division that you want to play. And for me, I chose AL Central since the White Sox are in that division. And it has you just do challenges through history and like kind of recreate history that way. And then at the end, you battle 3 different mini bosses, and then at the end there's a 4th boss, and it's like the main boss. And the way it works is you could go straight to the main boss right away, but you'll be down 15-0, and you'll have to score 16 runs by the end in 20 outs. But if you do all the other stuff leading up to that, I think there's like 12 mini ones. You could, if you successfully complete them all, you'll be down 12-15 instead of 15-0. So it just makes it easier, and then you get a bunch of rewards and stuff for doing that. But I know, John, you don't personally like the Diamond Dynasty stuff, right?
I haven't tried it. I like we've said in the past, I'm just obsessed with franchise mode. I love building my team up and editing it and all that stuff. I've only played 2 games of it so far, so I haven't played a ton yet. I just bought it the day the regular edition released because, well, I'm not gonna get baseball at least for 2 months here. I wanted to play something with the updated rosters and everything. Yeah, just my quick takeaways from the gameplay of it. It's essentially MLB 19, which is expected. I mean, it's an annual sports release. That always happens. They have done some tweaks in there that I like. They've got new ways to field and run bases and hit and everything. The way that they've updated the hitting, I think, makes it a little too easy to hit home runs, at least in my first 2 games. My first game, I love the Cardinals, and the first game would have been against the Reds, and against the Reds I hit 7 solo home runs.
Jeez. And
they hit like 4. I was like, okay, that's interesting. The next game wasn't as bad. I only hit 3, but still, it might just be like the early... Like, one of my favorite things with MLB 19 the show was that it has difficulty settings that adjust to how you're playing, and so I just set mine to like right in the middle, so it hasn't properly adjusted my difficulty yet, so that might be a part of why I was hitting so many home runs. But yeah, it was a lot, to the point where I was like, okay, this doesn't feel like a simulation game anymore. This feels more like an arcade. So hopefully that balances out more as I play it. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to play more baseball. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I also played a lot of the March to October mode because I can't get into playing, full games all the time. Sometimes I just want a quicker experience. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing March to October, and I'm actually already in the playoffs in that mode with the White Sox. I played so much of it over the weekend. I was playing till like 2 a.m. one night. Just couldn't stop. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Enjoying it a lot. Just minor tweaks here and there, like you said, but that's to be expected with any baseball game. I'm just excited for this to come to Xbox next year.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm ready to get some achievements on there. I don't care about trophies. Give me my achievements.
Yep. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this in the podcast to come, just because it just makes me sad that there's going to be no baseball next week.
For no baseball for a month.
Did they announce like a date at least?
Well, they didn't announce a date, but they said it's going to be the middle of May at the earliest.
Yeah. But that, I'm just saying in general, like next week is when baseball would have started, but we're just not going to have it. Right,
yeah. It's very disappointing. I was getting all hyped up and everything. I think it's worse because spring training had already been a few weeks in.
Mm-hmm.
That was like really my build up, like, because I pay really close attention to baseball and everything, so I was just like seeing how everyone was doing and how things are like progressing towards opening day, and then boop, it's gone 2 weeks, and then now it's gone at least a couple months. So it's disappointing, but it makes sense.
Yep, understandable. Connor, what other game have you been playing?
So we've been poking around in Rainbow Six Siege a little bit, especially with the new operators dropping. You've got Yana and Oryx. John, I know you've been poking around Siege from time to time. I don't know if you've had a chance to play the new ops or anything.
No, I don't have it anymore.
Okay, right on. And then Joel, do you play Siege at all?
I've played it a few times. I never really got too into it.
Okay.
That's about it, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're kind of bouncing into it with a group of friends and tackling it a little harder on the competitive side of things and playing some comp there. And it's really good. They're kind of branching out with these new ops too and trying to take themselves a little less seriously, which I think goes a long way for the game. Because my problem with Siege was always that it's a little too grounded in being a tactical military shooter. Oryx has the ability to just burst through walls. He's got like the short dash ability, and it can break through soft walls or knock into enemies and knock them down. And then Yana actually has a little replicator drone that she throws out that looks exactly like her, and you take control of that temporarily for about 20-30 seconds or so, and you get to run around and kind of scout out rooms ahead of time instead of having to blindly rush in. And they're a little more sci-fi futuristic than some of the other operators in the game, and it's real cool. Yana seems to come from the moon, which is a whole weird thing. But yeah, no, it's something we've been poking around with, playing some of that competitive mode. I think I'm ranked in like Gold 1 or something now. Just trying to mess about in it. That game's still really good, and honestly excites me a lot for the single-player spinoff they have coming in the future. I think it's called Quarantine, which fitting name for the time being. Yeah, it's still Rainbow Six Siege. You know, it's the same thing. New characters, new people. Not much changing there. Just classic, solid FPS gameplay.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy what they've been able to do with this game, like over the lifespan of it. Because like when
especially
it came out,
to support
it wasn't
for
doing
so
that great.
long. You know, it's when did this game come out?
2014.
I was gonna say 15.
That's
It was very early in this current generation.
Yeah, I remember
December
it not
1st,
being
2015.
2015. Wow.
Yeah, and like I know that when it came out, it wasn't doing so great, and then they've just kept changing the game and changing and adding more and more stuff that now it's just at a point that it's just been killing it.
Well,
Yeah,
even when it came
really
out,
good.
I loved it. It was a good game from the very beginning.
Yeah, and it's found itself a really good niche. I think when it came out, there was a lot of other like monolith games at the time. You know, you had a lot of people playing Destiny back then. You know, your Call of Duties, obviously. That's typically where more of the competitive people stay. But with their constant updates and support for the game, they've really found a good place for themselves. And man, it's a lot of fun, honestly, to play that game with other people. I hate playing by myself, though.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel about most shooters, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. And I know they announced that this is going to be they're not making a new game, right, for the next gen consoles. They're just going to do the same thing.
They're going to upgrade it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be just a bit of an up-res situation, still the same base game and everything like that. They didn't reveal all their plans on it, but yeah, it doesn't sound like you're going to have to buy another retail SKU.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. That's kind of where the next gen is going now. Seems like most stuff you won't have to rebuy, but we'll see how it plays out once we get more info on this stuff. But speaking of next gen, let's get into the news because this has been a very exciting week in terms of next gen gaming. John, you want to kind of lead this one?
Okay. I don't know specs, but sure.
Neither do I. I'm a fucking console gamer. We'll let Connor elaborate.
Yeah, we'll let Connor take over it. So these are PS5 versus Xbox Series X, complicated battle of SSD and GPU speeds. We're taking this from Tom Warren on The Verge. So Sony has finally unveiled its PlayStation 5 specs today, and there are some surprisingly big differences between the PS5 and Microsoft's Xbox Series X. Both consoles are still arriving at the end of the year, and we're now starting to get a better idea of what both Microsoft and Sony have prioritized for next-gen games. Sony has picked different CPU, GPU, and even SSD speeds that will impact how next-gen games are developed for the PS5 and Xbox Series X. On the PS5 side, the console has 8 AMD-based Zen 2 cores clocked at 3.5 GHz each, compared to 8 AMD-based Zen 2 cores clocked at 3.8 GHz each on the Xbox Series X, with simultaneous multi-threading SMT enabled on the Series X. Microsoft's CPU cores dropped to 3.6 GHz each, so the difference here seems relatively minor on paper. It's the GPU and SSD sides where the PS5 and Xbox Series X really differ. Sony has opted for a custom AMD RDNA 2-based GPU inside the PS5, which provides 10.28 teraflops of power with 36 compute units running at 2.23 gigahertz each. Microsoft has picked a custom AMD RDNA 2-based GPU for the Xbox Series X, but it can hit 12 teraflops of power with 52 compute units at 1.825 gigahertz each. Connor, what did I just say?
You said a lot there. Really, it's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo that when you distill it down, really the takeaway here is that this is pretty similar hardware, but with different approaches. Sony, obviously, if you watch the Mark Cerny 1-hour power play presentation that he had go on today, he really honed in on their custom SSD tech, which I think is kind of the biggest innovation for the next gen. With SSDs, you have almost instantaneous loading, much faster texture render times. I mean, developers can pull off some pretty crazy stuff, knowing that all of the base architecture has that same level of performance no matter what, which is pretty awesome. The immediate takeaways for me looking at these side by side between the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X is clocked a little bit higher at 3.8 gigahertz as opposed to 3.5 gigahertz, so you might get a slightly better effective speed out of the Xbox, which kind of translates to render times, load gates where you're not waiting so long for it to load different scenes and whatnot. But it could also potentially mean that it runs a little bit hotter, being such a higher overclock. So thermals could be a concern. Definitely don't want to see a repeat of the red ring of death. I'm sure Microsoft wouldn't like to see that. And then you also saw a lot of Sony talk, Mark Cerny specifically talking about how teraflops doesn't matter as a calculation, which sounds exactly like something you would say if you don't have as many teraflops as the other company.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And which
especially
he is
since
right.
Microsoft came out and said that they have 12.
Right. And he is right. Teraflops isn't the full picture, but it does give you a pretty good idea of raw power. And Xbox is really shooting for the moon here. I mean, our closest comparison, you have the Xbox One X, which clocked in at 6 teraflops, and the PS4 Pro at 4 teraflops. So the Xbox One X being the strongest console in the market. This being at 12 teraflops doubles that performance, which gets us closer to that 8K mark, true 4K, higher refresh rate, all that fun stuff. PlayStation being at 10, just above 10 teraflops, I don't think it's something to be too concerned about, but having lesser compute units is interesting, because that kind of factors into the ray tracing tech that's available on board, and you might see a little bit stronger ray tracing performance on the Xbox. So most of the other specs are pretty similar here. We're both NVMe SSDs. PlayStation came out and said they have an 825 gigabyte SSD, which was a real weird number to just throw out there. Is traditionally you just kind of round up to whatever the next big number is. So probably pretty comparable between the two there.
Do you think that it is a 1 terabyte, but part is partitioned off for OS or something?
I think so. I absolutely. That's how it's always been. I mean, you look at any of the other consoles out there. When you get a terabyte, you're not really getting a true terabyte because you have all that system memory allocation and stuff like that. So most likely just a terabyte. Probably just Mark Cerny being weird because that's what he does.
Yeah, Xbox is getting a memory card.
Yeah, that's real interesting stuff to see have a comeback. The PS5, again, this is more like high level technical BS that most people probably don't care about, but it sounds like it supports off-the-shelf M.2 drives, which is a faster interface for SSDs than the traditional SATA interface, which really the meaning of that is that not only are we getting SSDs, but we're getting some really fucking fast SSDs. I really wish Sony would have come out with some kind of tech demo here, showcasing load times or something similar to what Xbox had, because if they are really honing in on this SSD tech like they say they are, you could see some pretty blazing fast speeds here, and playing on your phone during cutscenes isn't going to be a thing anymore.
So, this whole M.2 thing, that would mean you'd have to take apart your PlayStation to install it, right?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it depends on how they lay out. Thankfully, M.2s are relatively easy to install, where they just kind of... It looks like a stick of gum, if I was going to compare it to anything. It's about the same length, shape, and width for it, and it just plugs the end into a little slot, and then you screw the other end down with a tiny little screw. So it is relatively easy installation. Have you guys ever taken apart a original PS4 or slid the HDD cover off an original PS4?
I didn't take it off. I've seen a video of it though, and that's kind of what I'm relating this to.
Right, exactly, and it's so easy to do so. I would imagine that they're shooting for something like that. I was a little bummed that we didn't get to see what the system looks like. Sony seemed to not want to share a lot of information here, but I would imagine that they'll probably have some kind of specific build around ease of access for that, and trying to make it easier for you to swap in and out. Hopefully, at least. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to have a ton of people voiding their warranty just to upgrade the memory.
I was going to say, it also seems like Xbox just doesn't want you touching the box. Like, they don't want you opening it or anything. And so that's kind of why they went with this.
I mean, it's kind of a smart thing, though. Like, when you think about your average consumer, like, they're not smart.
No, they're going to break it.
You know?
Yep.
So I think the memory card, a lot of people are going to laugh and throw shit at Xbox for it. But I think it's kind of the smart way to go. You know, you don't have to open up anything. You just plug it into the back and you're done. And then if you want to have multiple of them like a crazy person and go back to the old memory card days, you can do that too. Whereas with the PlayStation, from the sounds of it, with that M.2 drive, I mean, you're really reasonably only going to have one drive at a time usable with that system.
Yeah, I just hope that Xbox doesn't mess this up and make those external, I guess, memory cards that you plug into the back like super expensive compared to what an M.2 drive would be on its own.
Yeah, them being proprietary, they are partnering with Seagate for it, so it is a proprietary technology, and that is a little worrying in terms of cost. However, price per gigabyte has been dropping steadily over the past 2 years for this kind of technology, so I think it's only going to get cheaper over time. So from the start, you might see some things that are a little bit more expensive, but it sounds like what they're talking towards as well is over time they can offer bigger and bigger drives for less and less money, so it becomes less of a problem over time, which I hope is the case.
Can you let Sony know that? Because the Vita memory cards are probably still crazy expensive.
You are absolutely right. Things... I just got a couple in shipment the other day, and an 8 gig card is going for $40 right now.
That's insane. I remember I wanted to buy like a 64 because I think that was the highest, wasn't it?
32 or 64.
I think 32. Yeah.
Either way, I wanted to buy like the highest one. I looked it up. It was like $100 or something. I was like, nope. Yep. I'll buy a 16 and be happy.
Which, to compare that, I mean, if you take 8 gigabytes at $40 and then consider the fact that GameStop sells a 2 terabyte hard drive for $80, just double the money. That's absurd. It's 1,000 times. Oh god, that hurts my head.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Hopefully Xbox doesn't go down that road of just having way too expensive of a memory, I guess, card. I don't even know what to call this thing.
Memory external, card, I think, is the smart.
It's going to be a memory card, essentially.
That's what everybody's going to call it. Are you kidding me? They could put whatever name they want on it, and nobody's going to call it that if it's not a memory card.
Yep.
True. Maybe they'll go the GameCube route and have memory blocks.
Oh God, please no.
You have 13 blocks of memory remaining. Whatever the fuck a block is.
Yeah.
All right, I think that pretty much does it for... Oh, no, there's one more thing. The PS5. Connor, you want to talk about this? John?
Yeah, so this was kind of an interesting one that I didn't see coming. So they touched very lightly, and I'm not even going to read from this article here. I just want to kind of pop through it. But they talked during the press conference with Mark Cerny about backwards compatibility and how there's really two methods to backwards compatibility. One is installing the chip from the old model or older console onto the new system so that it has that hardware there to be able to run whatever it used to be. Or you can kind of take the old architecture and just iterate on it and build on it so that the old hardware is still there, but you're not kind of doubling up on the chipset. And it sounds like they are going the route of just expanding on what was already there for the PS4. This is why Microsoft has been able to do the backwards compatibility so well for so long, is because all of their architecture has been incredibly similar, but Sony's has been so crazy different from system to system that backwards compatibility has kind of been a nightmare for them. So with this, they kind of got out ahead of it and said that starting off, 100 of the most played games on the PS4 will be ready day one on your PS5 to play with you, which is awesome. But them limiting it to 100 is kind of an interesting thing, because I think last I looked, PS4 titles are like 400, 500 total on that system, maybe a little bit more. So only having 100 of them is a bit of a bummer. I'm happy to see them go the backwards compatible route and kind of follow Microsoft's footsteps there. But 100 is not anywhere near half of the number of games you have on there. They did say, however, that over time they're going to test stuff, and it really comes down to this being a different console and them having to test each title one by one to ensure that they don't break on the new PS5. So it does sound like they'll add more over time, but not quite the news that everybody was hoping for.
No, absolutely not. Especially when you see people hoping for PS1, PS2, and PS3 backwards compatibility, that they can't even get all of the PS4 on there right away.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and the fact that they had announced before, that it was going to be backwards compatible, everybody just kind of assumed, like, okay, so at least all my PS4 games will work.
Yeah,
but
no, that's kind of what
it
it always seemed like. Oh, okay, I just put my PS4 disc in and it works.
Mm-hmm.
Or, because I don't think they've confirmed it or anything, but I think that's how everyone thinks the Series X is going to work, because that's how the Xbox One works. It's going to be really easy for them to do that. But
well, that was the thing. They kind of shot themselves in the foot here on not getting out ahead of this, because you had Xbox, who's been saying since day one announcement of the Xbox Series X that all of your Xbox One stuff will just carry over with you. That their goal for the entire time has been every single game, day one, will play on the Xbox Series X. So for Sony to get out there and be like, yay, backwards compatibility, we're doing it too, but not really clarify, and then to come out with something like this, it's just disappointing.
Yeah, very. Yeah. Quick question. Do you guys think that PS4 controllers work on PS5?
Yes.
No. Oh, okay. Why no, John?
Because they've been updating the PS5 controller a bunch, and PS3 controllers don't work on PS4.
I mean, Xbox 360 controllers don't work on Xbox One.
But Microsoft has already come out and said that Xbox One controllers work on Series X. Like, if they were going to work going forward, Sony would have already announced it when they've either in those articles where they were talking about the new controllers, or even possibly today.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with you that I don't think they will, because I also think that they would have announced it by now. But Connor, why do you think that they will?
So I think they will because of backwards compatibility, and kind of that reason alone. Because if, let's say, like, there are games, Infamous Second Son, for instance, is a game that requires that touchpad on the PS4 controller for some of its movements and stuff, and you could have the developer go back, or Sony go back and update that game, rewrite that code, change it to another button or whatever it is, but that's a lot of unnecessary work to go through. but also with backwards compatibility, then you would have to commit to the touch function and all the other functions of the controller that were on the PS4 being present in the PS5 controller just to have backwards compatibility. So I think for honestly that reason alone, and also them releasing like the back button attachment and all that other stuff, I think that you're definitely going to be able to bring it forward. We've seen a little bit of this in the past. Granted, it was kind of the reverse scenario where you could use your PS4 controllers on your PS3, which is pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys knew that. You can just plug it in, use it as wired controller on your PS3.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's a super bonkers, nutty thing. But they do seem to be playing a little bit more friendly in this space than they have in the past. And so for that reason, I think the PS4 controller works on the PS5.
Yeah, I don't know. Only time will tell. I mean, or if you're Sony, you could just be like, well, none of these games that require the touchpad are in the top 100 played games, so don't know what to tell you.
Just kidding. We don't have a controller. Compatible. It's all hand tracking now, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some of the quick news here. First one, there is a new Overwatch character named Echo. John, what do you think?
Awesome. So, of course, I stay up to date with Overwatch all the time. They've been teasing this for the last few days since the archive event started. Yeah, I mean, we already knew Echo was coming at some point. They were kind of hinting that she would come with Overwatch 2 whenever that releases. But no, she's the next hero, and she may be the only hero Overwatch gets before the second game comes out. So, yeah, I'm really excited to play her.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think this is kind of telling as to when Overwatch 2 will come out?
No, because they already announced that they had one hero at least coming. Okay. They didn't say how many, but Echo has been in the works for a long time.
Okay. And Connor, what do you think?
I think the more important question here is why do this to us and just not give us Overwatch 2 in the first place? Like, stop updating the old game, give us the new one. I don't care if you have to hold back content.
Well, that's the thing, is they're not really updating the game at the moment. They are going full ahead on Overwatch 2. Like I said, Echo has just been in the works for so long now. That's why we didn't get anyone at BlizzCon, because I think Echo actually got delayed.
Yeah, it's very possible. I don't know. Overwatch is kind of a love-hate relationship for me. I still love it, but I just wish they would do more with it. And maybe, like you said, it's because they're kind of full steam ahead on Overwatch 2, which if that's the case, great. I'm ready for it. But it just feels like a weird wasteland, and Echo doesn't fix it.
All right, this has been John's Overwatch Minute for the episode. Moving on, Xbox Series X is coming holiday 2020. This is right after somebody, I think Wario64 posted that there was a screenshot saying it's coming Thanksgiving 2020, and then they clarified it saying no, holiday. What do you guys think?
It's just good to see them say that, oh no, it's not Thanksgiving time. This still could come out a little earlier. Like I was predicting when we did our prediction cast with Respawn Aimfire, I was saying that this might come out in October. So I still think this comes out a little earlier.
Connor, what do you think?
And it's good that it wasn't delayed because of production or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to double down on that and totally support you there. I think that this certainly seems much closer to reality than the PS5 does at this point. They have been playing a lot of their cards. They've been talking about it. They've revealed it. This very much feels like a device that is either in production, about to hit production, or very close to its finalized product. And because of that, Microsoft kind of holds this theme so far with the reveals of trying to be first to market with a lot of the information. And I think that maybe they take the same approach with the console and get it out there first. So I agree. I think we could see it a little sooner, which is awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, very exciting times. And the last one is just kind of so Final Fantasy VII, they tweeted that the physical copies may be delayed because of COVID-19 coronavirus. I just want to know kind of what you guys' thoughts are on this, and I guess other physical games possibly being delayed. John.
So it's affecting things. Apparently, Animal Crossing physical editions have been shipped out early, and like people are kind of already getting them. I saw today, so I think that definitely has some kind of impact on it. Really, because if you're really worried about not getting it, you can just download it. The game itself isn't getting delayed, but if you look at like Jason Schreier, who lately was like tweeting that March and April games should be fine, but in May games could start getting delayed. So he didn't say it, but like everyone started pointing to The Last of Us 2 potentially getting delayed again because of all this.
Yeah, Connor, what do you think?
It sucks. It sucks a lot. This coronavirus stuff is really no joke. I mean, it is affecting things in ways and forms that we've never seen before on this scale. And the video game industry especially has been getting hit super hard with all this. And this just kind of seems tip of the iceberg. That being said, just curious, how do you cancel coronavirus? Asking for a friend. I'm just curious, how do we get rid of that? You just
no idea.
Ask me in about 8 months.
Yeah, stay inside.
Yeah, right. There you go.
That's the answer. Don't make contact with anybody. But yeah, it's obviously very unfortunate, especially for people who might have pre-ordered like the Super Deluxe edition that came with like a statue for this game. I guess that would suck. I don't know if that even came with the actual game or not, because some collector's editions like that don't even come with the game anymore. But yeah, it's definitely unfortunate for stuff like this to happen. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out going forward. With that being said, let's go on to topic of the show. We're going to kind of do 20 questions again. I have a game in mind. In terms of the video podcast, I'm just going to pull up random video of retro games so I don't spoil it for anybody that could be listening. So yeah, I guess go ahead. I'll keep track of the questions.
All right, you ready?
Let's do this.
All right. Did this game release after January 1st, 2010?
No.
Okay.
Did this game release in the 2000 to 2010 range?
Let me look it up real quick. Let me have the Wikipedia up here. What was the question? 2000 to 2010 range?
Yes. Yeah, so the early 2000s. Okay. So this is earlier than that then.
Did it come out in the 90s?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Was this on PlayStation?
No.
Was this on Nintendo 64?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got another one. Was it a Nintendo 64 exclusive?
Ooh, let me see. I guess technically yes.
So I think it just got re-released or something at some point. Is this a platforming game?
No. You're at 7 questions.
Is it a shooter game?
No.
Not platform, not shooter. Does it feature a Nintendo-owned franchise?
No.
Okay.
Is... This is a tough one. I don't know how else to narrow this down. Is this a racing game?
Yes.
Okay.
You're at 10 questions. Halfway there.
Was this game in arcades?
Let me look. Hold on. I don't think so.
I'll say. Well, then here, let's replace that question with.
No, it was not in arcades.
It was not in arcades. Damn, that. I was really thinking I had it for a moment there. Oh.
Is it a Star Wars game?
Ooh, that's a good one.
No.
Ah, damn.
Okay. Oh, damn, that one was in arcades. This is a tough one. This is not easy.
Is the racing always on land?
I'm gonna say yes.
But he hesitated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, racing games have jumps.
Okay,
Right.
okay. I
So,
meant like
yeah.
I meant like, is there at any point that you race on water
No,
or you
no.
fly?
No.
Okay.
You're at 13 questions.
So this, just to recap a couple, this game released in the 90s, not the 2000s.
The 90s, yes.
Okay.
Is this more of a simulation racer? Or okay, no, that's not a yes or no. Is this an arcade racer? You know what I mean by that?
I'd say yeah, this is an arcade racer.
Okay.
I was going to say Excite Bike, but Excite Bike was 2000. Excite Bike 64. That is.
Does this... I'm not sure if that was 90s or not. Is this game in the Cruisin' franchise?
No. You're at 15 questions, 5 left.
Ooh.
Yeah, we gotta play smart here.
I will say you're getting close.
You did say it was like more of an arcade racer, right?
Yeah, I'd put it under arcade for sure. In to verify by arcade, I mean like it doesn't have like a Ferrari in the game or anything like that.
Yeah, it's
like,
not a simulation racer. It's not going for realism.
No.
Was this game popular?
Oh, was it popular?
If you're on Wikipedia, it will say like in the reception area.
In the reception? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's like always a reception area near the bottom.
Let me read this. Yes, popular. So that's 16 questions.
4 more.
It's always on land, so it's not like Wave Race.
Could be Lego Racers.
Lego Racers.
There was a Lego Racers game on 64.
But I don't think that was exclusive. I'm pretty sure that was on PlayStation as well.
You might be right on that one.
And I keep thinking of like snowboarding games instead of like. Well, I guess we didn't. Did we ever narrow it down that this is vehicles?
No, we just asked racing.
I don't know if I want to waste that question though.
All right.
Is the racing always in vehicles?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least I'll stop thinking about snowboarding.
Could be Road Rash 64.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Does this game?
How can we? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Does this game have other games in the franchise?
Yes.
I don't think that really narrows it down, though.
It takes out
18.
one-offs.
Yeah. What? Oh,
You're
we're
at
at
18
18.
questions.
I thought you meant like there were 18 games. I was like,
No.
what?
Yeah. Really keeping track there.
18 questions.
Damn.
There was. Well, I guess that game was more of a simulation game. There was a game I used to play as a kid. All I can remember is the cover had like a blue car and it had like teeth on it. Like it was like a monster car, but it was just like regular racing. I don't remember what it was called.
The only game I keep thinking of is San Francisco Rush, which is one of my all-time favorite games. But I know that's not it because it was in arcades, and I think it released elsewhere.
We have one question and a guess, right?
Yeah, I guess technically.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
This is pretty hilarious to me.
Is it
right?
Oh man, I almost just asked you a question. Oof. Damn. I mean, thinking of racers that were on there, you had Cruisin' USA, San Francisco Rush, Rush 2049.
Wasn't in Cruisin'.
Lego Racers. There were some Indy racers and NASCAR, I think.
But those
are
arcade.
Oh, you're right. There was the F1 games.
There's that Mickey Mouse racing game.
But the F1 games came out elsewhere.
Oh, man. You know what?
Send it, you know?
Am I going for it? Am I going in on the Mickey Mouse? Oh, no. I don't think it. No. Would it?
No, I don't think so.
Because it was exclusive.
I'll give you guys a hint.
Sure.
One of you named a game in the franchise.
Ah, shit.
Damn it.
Well, I know it's not Cruisin' because we already got that one out. It might be one of those Rush games you were talking about.
I said Sam. Yeah, but it was in arcades, right? And we said it wasn't in arcades. Wasn't that one of them?
Joel also said he thought so he might not know.
I looked it up.
I very distinctly know that Rush 2049 was an arcade. I played that.
I looked it up, and this game in this franchise is not in arcades.
So it could be the other Rush game because there was a second San Francisco Rush on the system. It was, I think, just San Francisco Rush. Because Rush 2049 was on cabs.
Well, here, how about you? I'll have you ask. Is it in the Rush series? Should we go with that?
You know what? I don't think it is because I think that other Rush game came out on.
Well, what other franchises have we named?
I said Lego Racers.
Was there more on there?
I said NASCAR, Indy.
Because I only know about the one Lego
There was
Racer.
just the one, so it strikes that out. I said F1.
Is that an arcade or a simulation? Because I don't know that.
That was simulation.
Okay.
So that narrows that out. Damn, this is tough.
Right? The Rush thing is the only thing I think we have any chance
What
of.
games did you say?
I didn't say like any franchises. Like I already narrowed down because I was going with Cruisin' USA at first, but I asked if it was in the Cruisin' franchise, and it was no.
Cruisin' USA was an arcade cab too, so
yeah.
Shit. Okay. Well, let's burn number 19 then. Is it a Rush game?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Which one?
You guys have to guess.
Oh no!
Without looking up.
All right, Connor, what Rush games are on there?
So you had 2 Rush games on the 64. You had San Francisco Rush 2049, which was by far the more popular video game out of the 2, and my personal favorite. But it was in arcades. I know that for a fact because I played a shit ton of it on the arcade cabinet. I actually want to buy one. Neither here nor there. But that one came out in 2000 or 99. I want to say 2000. I'm pretty positive it was 2000. So it's got to be the other one, which was San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. I think that's the name. Yeah.
Is that and you're 100% that's the only other one?
I'm 99% positive that was the only other, because you had Rush 2049 and then no, hang on. There was a sequel to that one. There was Rush 2 that like nobody played.
So there's
and I don't think anybody played it because I think it was an exclusive.
Ooh.
All right.
Go for it.
We're going Rush 2 Extreme Racing for the Nintendo 64.
Yep, you got it.
Yes!
On the last one.
Yes!
That is probably my favorite N64 game of all time.
Hold it out.
Is it really? I can't say I've ever heard of it.
Oh my god. It had like this whole Mountain Dew tie-in where you would go collecting Mountain Dew cans.
Oh my god.
And there would just be Mountain Dew ads everywhere. There was a whole so like me and my friends would never do the racing as much as they just had like a stunt track.
Yeah.
Where like you would go flying off these ramps and see who could get the most points.
Did you
and
play
your car would just go
2049?
flying like crazy. I did because I was excited about it after I had playing Rush 2 so much, but it just never stuck with me.
2049
all the
had
wings
those
and
like
stuff.
stunt tracks and stuff, like even more of them. But it also had like you could fly with your car and stuff.
Yeah,
like
you could bring out your
stuff.
wings with the Z button or whatever it was.
Yeah. Gosh.
But yeah, I'm very surprised you guys ended up getting this.
Yeah, no
Oh,
kidding.
man.
Jeez, that was tough. I didn't think
Connor
it was a
saved
Rush
that
game.
one. I would never have gotten that. Like I said, I never even heard of Rush.
Honestly, had totally forgotten that Rush 2 even existed.
I literally have a copy of it like right next to me. Somewhere.
No kidding. Oh man.
I just bought it. Like I went to this like retro game swap thing and I bought it there like a few months ago.
I've been tossing around the idea of trying to buy a Rush 2049 cab for a little while now and convince my wife to let me do it because they're only going for like $2-3 grand or so.
Ooh. Dude, I would love to just get an arcade cabinet of Galaga, something like that.
I still remember like most of the codes too. Like if you punch in 666 before you level select, it does mirror tracks instead. Oh
Nice.
man. Good times.
But yeah,
We're 2 for 2.
Yeah, buddy.
This has been episode 93 of the Pixel Street Podcast. Be sure to go follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street Pod, where you can get updates on when we're recording, where we ask for topics for the week, or if you keep enjoying these kind of 20 question style topics, let us know. Suggest games for us to put for it. Yeah, as always, I'm your host, Joel Campos. You can find me on Twitter at Campos63. John, where can we find you?
On Twitter, I am at Revik Shadows. With us being stuck at home, you can expect to see a lot more of my writing coming out here in the next few weeks. Oh, and also, I am on YouTube. You could just search up Revik Shadows or go to youtube.com/JohnJW92. You might see a video here pretty soon with me and Connor in it on there. Pretty soon.
All right, and Connor, where can we find you other than John's YouTube channel in the future?
That's certainly a place you could find me, but the people can find me also on Twitter at @TheRealBirch. That's Birch like the tree without the I. So BRCH. I'm also on Mixer, BRCH as well. We're all home for the coronavirus stuff. Unfortunately, my work is still open, so I'm still going to work all the time. But I have some time off coming up soon, and during that time off, I would like to do some streaming. So be on the lookout for that. Come hang out with us. Hopefully we can maybe get that Warzone stream in here pretty soon. But yeah, come follow me, hang out, ask questions, contribute to the podcast. We'd love to have you.
You can also find Connor on Craigslist looking for a Rush 2049 cabinet.
That's absolute. Listen, I will scrub your entire house with a toothbrush if you give me one of those.
All right, we will see you right here next week for episode 94 of the Pixel Street Podcast.
Bye.